What's on your mind, man? What's on your mind?
You know, it's a lot of things on my mind, but you know, there's just one thing that it was something that came to me on Facebook, and I really, really wanted to get a part of it, and it was what they call in the blackout of the NFL, and that was based on a pastor from down in Alabama got together with his congregation, got some people together, and they said, "Look, NFL, we're going to come to you and we're going to say, hey, you know what? We're going to black you out. We're not going to watch the NFL. We're not going to pay attention to you. We're not giving you any love because you are not paying attention to what one individual decided to do to stand up for the rights of many."
Yeah.
And, you know, that's a really, really big situation right now. And it's been on my heart, you know what I'm saying? And it's really been troubling. I am a football fan through and through. As we've heard from dealing with, you know, some other of our guests coming in, you know,
Big shouts to Malcolm because, he was talking about your Denver.
My Denver Broncos, man. I'm a Broncos fan through and through, but I won't be watching them, man, until the NFL decides that they want to pay attention, because it's not just about, you know, the game. It's bigger. It's higher than that. You know, it's about what's going on and paying attention to people as a culture and recognizing, you know what, that injustice is injustice, period.
Yeah.
And until you recognize that, you know what, you don't got my support.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Can I just really say, as you know, since you're such a football fan, I really commend that you're partaking in the blackout, because, you know, people love their football. And, you know, there's some fans that are just like, I can't risk not watching my football on Sunday and Monday. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's not that serious. It's bigger than that. You know, it's a game. That's a game. That's for my leisure. Yeah. That's for my fun. You know, that's for me to, you know, just max out for on the Sunday. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But when the league itself won't get behind and they are shunning one individual because he decided to say, stop, enough. I've had enough. I can't get with that.
It's always been tricky for any person that is a part of football or entertainment or anything that's really, really publicized to say something about the culture. It's always been tricky, you know, just going back to, you know, the support of the civil rights movement. Who's that? Harry Belafonte, you know, back in the days, Sidney Poitier and all those guys, when they got involved with the civil rights movement, it's always been, you know, the entertainment business was looking at them like, what are you doing?
Right.
You know, you're a part of this. You're not a part of that. There's always been a separation when it comes to that. And you see that over and over and over again.
And that's the sad part.
Yeah.
It's very sad. Very sad.
Because what does it look like for other countries to look at that and just be like, man, they like African American culture is just as America gets, and this is still going on.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, you know, it's like you still can't appreciate a different culture.
I mean,
it seems like.
Do you think? I mean, because culture is so separated from, you know, the mainstream in some sort. It's like when there's a rise up of a superstar or something like that. Do you think that is right for them to be looked at in a certain way? Because they're getting money. What are they complaining about? You know. So how do you feel about that? How do you feel about someone saying something about what's going on ground floor level?
I mean, to me, I think as all human beings on this earth, we all have a social responsibility.
Yes.
Yeah. And, you know, it's important for people to know where you stand versus to not just say anything at all.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's certain people with, you know, what's going on right now with, I know we said we aren't getting to that, but Trump, like,
yeah.
It's important for me to know where you stand, because when you don't say anything, that bothers me.
Yeah,
to me, that's more
volumes.
problematic.
All right.
Yeah.
It speaks volumes.
Yeah.
And just to piggyback off of that, it's the social responsibility. No matter what it is, we have a platform right here. We have a responsibility. We have to be able to stand up and speak for what we feel from our heart and say what's right within us.
Yeah.
And for me, that's what this is about. Being able to say, hey, I don't feel you. I can't get with it. I'm not on your team right now because you don't recognize me as an individual.
Yeah.
And that's a problem for me.
I respect that. I respect that because, I mean, he basically sacrificed his money for his culture. And that's what it boils down to. And I think that's the realest thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
If you say, man, I don't care about the money. I care about my people, my culture, and I'm going to continue to speak out. And you're changing the game at that point.
Yeah. Something bigger than him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not even just his people, so to speak. Let's say, you say his people, that would be saying African Americans, right?
Yeah.
But that's the same cat that got with I don't remember what airlines it is, but it's now flying food over to Somalia. You know what I mean? And getting food and water to people that are in a famine.
Wow.
Who can't eat, can't drink. And we're getting that too. And you still, government, hello.
I think it was Panama.
Still got an issue. No. It's Somalia.
No. The airline was like.
Oh, I'm not exactly sure which airline it was. But they got a cargo plane and they were able to take food over to them. You know what I'm saying? And the government still, you people and those who are of the right wing or whatever you want to call them right now, still got something bad to say about this individual. Are you serious? Oh, we don't. They don't want to hire Colin Kaepernick because they're gonna get a bad tweet from Donald Trump. That's what he's talking about. I'm like, dude, are you serious right now? This is not social media BS. This is some real stuff. This is people's lives. Yeah. He's out there saving lives, and y'all are shunning him because he stood up and said no more to save lives. I don't understand that. I can't get with that. That doesn't make sense to me.
Can I ask him a question real quick?
Mm-hmm.
As football fans, like, how do you guys feel about veterans that the NFL, veterans that are saying
weak? I say this, to me, those individuals who are African American, which make up probably 70% of the NFL, and you are deciding because of a paycheck, money, to not stand up and get behind a situation that is real and is pertinent to you, that's your family. What if it was you? What if it was your family member who was out there and they had an interaction with the police and they had something come up wrong with that situation? And then now you want to speak? So for me, when I look at those who are in the NFL and they are saying, I'm not going to stand behind them because I can't, because my money will get affected. Well, you know what? There's power in unity. If you all did it, they'd have to pay attention because dollars make sense. Hello.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So it's to me that's very real, and I'm not a fan of those who aren't standing up. Those who have taken seats on the benches and said I'm not going to do some things, and there's a couple people that are out there doing things, and I send nothing but love and shots out to them. But
Marshawn Lynch just did it. Yeah.
He just did that, and you got to say, you know what? Yeah, I know you guys are trying to climb up the ladder. I know what you're trying to do, but this is bigger than that.
Right.
This is bigger than that. This is real.
Yeah.
You have an opportunity to become your own Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
To stand up like Malcolm X. You have your opportunity to do that, and you're choosing not to. And this is that time.
Yeah, more than ever, I think it's that time. And big shouts to Jay-Z for doing the same thing because, he's putting out a lot of content about the 444 album, and he's really shining light on those tough subjects that I feel, and this is just me, I feel that he couldn't talk about early on. He was dropping hints, like I want to rap like Talib Kweli, but these dollars is, it doesn't make sense. Or, he was hinting at his political self, but he had to be at a certain standpoint to speak out. Now, he owns this big corporation and stuff like that. He's now putting that stance on. I mean, how do you guys feel about that? Like, you got to be at a certain level to speak out if some bad stuff is going on, and it all comes down to your money. It's going to affect it, by what you say. Like, how do you feel about that? Do you wait, or do you think about it in a proper way? Or, I mean, because Jay-Z was calculated with it. He's talking about some old subjects, especially the OJ thing.
I mean, for me, I know it's a hard situation, because when you do look at it, yes, you have those who have gotten to a certain point where the money isn't that. Colin Kaepernick is worth $100+ million.
Yeah,
I understand that, but there are there's at least, let's say, 2 to 3 franchise players on each team.
Yeah,
Who can make a huge statement within that. And almost all of them are black. So within that, I can see that. And there are people who are just coming in. I know that rookie who's just coming in, man. I've been doing this all my life. I've been trying my hardest, and I'm coming. I get it, bruh. But you also have a big, big opportunity to do something outside of that.
yeah,
And use that education that you got for free from college and still go out there and make some stuff happen. You know what I mean? So no matter what it is, I know it's a turning point. I know it's a hard situation. And I'm sitting here and I'm not judging you. I'm telling you, as a person, as an individual, you know what? You could still do it. You could still make it happen. Because if you all got together, that's the problem, man. That's the problem with our culture, man. I promise you, there's not enough unity.
yeah,
There's not enough unity. If
Yeah.
you stood up in solidarity as one, we'll win. That's how I feel.
I feel you have to have that from the gate, and that has to be taught, and it has to be more than one person, because coming from Chicago, Loretta can bear witness to this statement. One person make it from the hood, they expect for that one person to reach back and help everybody. Or you're not just welcome back. It's like, oh, you made it, you're higher than us, so don't come back to the hood. I mean, I've seen a lot of cases in that standpoint, and it's a fickle kind of subject. Because we can't help everybody. Plus, we're trying to help our cousins and our families and buy houses and stuff like that. By the time we get our check, we're ass out. People are ass out. So I think that just from the gate, like you said, unity and starting a culture and a movement of athletes of the next generation to come in and say, okay, we're not all about this money. We're about to play in the game, but we're also about sticking together and being that voice for the voiceless. But it can't be just one person.
No.
Never can just be one person.
It's
a lot of pressure on one person.
It takes one person to start the domino effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if it wasn't for Kaepernick, I don't think anybody else would have. Who else would have done it?
Yeah.
I mean,
who's that bold? And you got to be bold.
Well, you
got to think different.
You can answer that by just looking around what's going on. Who else?
All right.
He did it, and who's following? It's so slow, So
Yeah, it is.
Your observation is correct.
But it's the fear of that. It's the corporate. Putting the fear in, and that's what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just the reality of it. But I think, to answer your question about do you wait to be on a bigger platform? Sure, I think some special people that have that boldness and that desire to really change things, they do wait to be on a better platform.
Yeah.
Because if he would have done it, I think if he's in college doing it, then. But if he's in the NFL, see, he's smart. He's like, if I'm gonna be in the NFL, I'm at least gonna have a voice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So big ups to Kaepernick, man, and I hope the NFL gets a dent in the people that don't go to games, and
Yeah, absolutely.
and I really do, because they're a community corporate thing, right? A lot of teams, we go back into the inner city, we teach kids football and this and that, right?
Yeah.
They say that,
Right.
but then when it comes down to stuff like this, then they back out. They're like, we don't have your back.
And to be honest,
it's hypocritical.
yeah.
Very,
And to be
very.
honest, I mean, a lot of that is never going to change until there's an array of diversity and ownership in these teams.
Exactly.
So
That's
I
so
mean,
true.
Exactly.
That's so true.
I say ownership in all things. I mean, because if we're just pushing, and this all goes back to Jay-Z, man, pushing beyond the limits. Him becoming president of Def Jam and pushing the limits beyond artistry and just being this worker for your entire life. It's like you got to start something to actually make rules.
Yeah.
You gotta be out there. You got to start a corporation. You got to start a LLC. You got to start something, and then you have your own policy, and you hire the freedom fighters.
You create it.
You create it, but I mean, the less control that we have over corporation space, the more we're going to run into this problem because we're going to be in fear of our jobs.
Right.
Right.
So I think it's a call out just to people alone that really own what they do, and not be scared of the corporation and not be the one that, create the application. Just don't fill it, don't be the one to fill it out all the time. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard, when you sit back and you're a black man or black woman, a Spanish man, a Spanish woman, a Muslim, a Jew, whatever. It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
When you just feel the weight of how society it just feels like it's against you on every turn, everything that you do. You can't lash out because then you're that person. But you can't say anything because if you do, then you're that person. So you got to shut up and be in this place. And that's what kind of society is. It feels like with the NFL, it's this part. It's like that's what's being put on you. This is what your place is. You don't say anything. You just be.
Yeah.
And then you get along. And I'm not good with that. You know what I mean? I'm not good with that for my kids as they grow. I'm not good with that for anybody's kids as they grow. I'm not good for that for you sitting next to me, and I'm not good for the people that are outside that I don't know. It's not right. So really, I mean, the conversation needed to be had, and people need to really, really take heed of it, and you need to pay attention. The dollars and cents are dollars and cents, but at the end of the day, lives are totally different because from what I know, man, I got one, and I'm here living it right now. And if I'm gone tomorrow because at the hands of something, an officer or something of law over something that I, didn't have nothing to do with nothing, what good is that? You know what's this? It's funny, man. I was just thinking about it as Lester was like, "Who is that?" And I'm like, you know what? Music crosses all barriers because we was going through a whole lot of energy right here, and it was just a lot. But then you put on that track, and I was like, "Oh, that was a great track."
Yeah.
Dope
And
track.
it so helps, you know what I mean? I just wish that the music could do that, could just heal. Always.
Right.
Just put on the music and it just heal everyone. You know what I mean? Take away all those.
I wish music was like they were the politicians of like the world, because I think more artists and musicians do more good for the world than
Except for Kanye.
yeah, no,
I'll give you that one.
and not even in a politician in a sense of like ruling, but just I don't know. I think they're better ambassadors of like the human race.
Yeah.
I was
don't
just
know.
playing with that.
Absolutely.
I was,
You know?
the Kanye 2020.
Yeah. Please no. Oh my God.
Like I don't know, like Bono, like he's done a lot of good.
It's great.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Akon has done a lot of
yes.
good.
Absolutely.
Jay-Z does a lot of good.
Yes.
Yes.
Like, man,
Yeah,
it's
I
just-
mean that's the responsibility that I think you were talking about. I mean, once you get to a certain status, I mean, you're a people's person.
Yeah.
Like you can't be successful without being a people's person. A bit, I know there's a lot of artists that are out there that are better artists than they are people, but I think you understand a little bit better, and you've seen multiple cultures, and you've traveled, and you have a different perspective, so you can better go back to a community and provide some perspective.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. So
Very,
it's
very
it's a thing, man, and that's why the show exists, because I feel like we're waking up the youth and we're waking up the listeners to say, okay, all right, you want to get this money, right? Oh, you want the car? Oh,
Yeah.
oh, you want the girls? Yeah, okay. So you want to be on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want it now? Because you're seeing what's happened in celebrity land, right?
Do you want the
Do
responsibility?
you want that? Do you really want that responsibility? Because my man probably won't work again.
It's very
But
possible.
he will go down in history to be that football player that spoke out.
Yep.
And that's success.
Yep.
That's redefining success.
Because whatever happens, he won.
Right.
Absolutely.
In my book. I don't care who else it is.
Yeah.
In my
There's a
book,
lot
he
of
won.
people that won't respect it outwardly, but inwardly, they wish that they were that dude.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because that took it took some kahunas.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because he's standing up against, big business. That's what he's standing up against.
Yeah.
As
Right.
the owners of the company, I honestly don't fault them. Because if you're looking at it from a business model, I get it.
It's not good for business.
It's not good for business.
Right.
But at the end of the day, he's right. In what they're doing, I understand that they're right, but it doesn't make it right in society. You know what I'm saying? So there's still a gray area that you need to look at, and it's not being followed.
See, that's the challenge, man, because I mean, here in America, we separate everything, church and state. Oh, this is church, this is state, and it's like, okay. It's like,
Is it?
how
though?
are you two people,
Mm.
Aren't you bringing your religion to work with you? How can you separate that? How can you separate your beliefs?
Right.
Oh, this is home, this is work, and everything like that. It's like, I don't know any other cultures that do that.
Hey, no. And
I
when
mean,
if you're spiritual, you're
explore and
spiritual.
Examine, like you're just a person with a certain belief, and you're good with that.
Mhm.
It doesn't affect the way that you perform. If you're great, you're great at what you do.
Right.
You have a programmer, that's an Indian, and you have a programmer that's Caucasian. They still program computers.
Right.
What does that have to do with a person's background and their beliefs or their traditions?
Nothing.
I still don't get it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you even look at that past that, you take a child who's an Indian child who's born into this world, a Spanish child, a Mexican child, a black child, a white child. You put them in the same room and let them grow up together. None of them will know the difference between each other
Yeah.
because it's taught. You're not born like that. So ignorance is infused into people. They weren't born like that. That's what they were taught through it.
Right.
And that's the thing. That's the ignorance that's out there that continues to fester it. That's what we got to conquer and we got to change. Because it makes no sense. You have no legitimacy of what you're saying. Nothing.
Yeah.
As far as being racist and being in that light, there's nothing legitimate about what you're saying. Nothing. It has no weight and no bearing. None.
This is a tough subject.
Yeah,
What do you
it
have
is.
to say, Loretta? Like, where's your head? Where's your head at?
I mean, just what I was saying earlier. Like, I just commend him for taking a stand and risking pretty much at this point it all.
Everything.
I mean, he was blackballed,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and I honestly was kind of surprised. It was Ravens were looking at him, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Sorta.
not a big, football fan, but I was actually kind of surprised that they didn't pick him up or the Eagles, considering what Michael Vick and
Right.
I mean, he did something illegal.
There's been people who have actually been caught on tape beating their wife. And I think they got back into the league.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
does that
Yeah. How
happen?
was how does
Just
that
recently,
happen?
Ezekiel.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does
They
that
only
happen?
got a 6-game suspension.
Really?
And, yeah, 6 games, and they're trying to appeal it. so they can reduce it to like 4 games. Which,
And we even got quarterbacks cheating, getting caught.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, they're still loving it.
You got to go there.
I had to do it. Yes.
I do like the Patriots.
But at the end of the day, those things
So you
are lesser.
So
They're
you're saying
lesser
that your punishment should be weighed. You know, if it's beating your wife, or beating dogs, or speaking out about real life racial issues, like it should be weighed out to what's the worst. Because it's seeming like right now the outspoken racial thing is really beating all of these cases.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
And how is that? It was non-violent.
All right.
Hold on, let's get the NFL on the phone right now.
Seriously.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me. Non-violent. I didn't hurt anybody.
And that's
I
the
took-
message they're sending to kids.
Yeah.
I took a knee during the Star Spangled Banner. Why? To get your attention. And your issue was now you took it to, I'm against the people that are going to war, and I'm against the national. What? I'm not against the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, Marines. I'm not against those people. I'm not against the veterans. I'm not saying that. I needed to get your attention, and I did that. Now, what I'm talking about is the injustice that's going on. But nobody says that. Only thing that they say is you took a knee during the national anthem. You're against our veterans. You're against the people who have lost their life to do that. Hello, that's not what I said.
So what should the NFL do? What should they do other than hire Kaepernick? So let's say they hire Kaepernick.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't end there, right?
No.
It's not justified.
No.
So what do they do
As the NFL itself?
as a corporate thing to kind of take this awareness and say, you know what, we're gonna do something about it.
They launch a campaign.
Launch a campaign.
Commercials.
Yeah.
They launch a campaign.
Launch.
And they really bring these issues to light and get the social conversation
I
started.
agree. Yeah.
I would.
That's what you do.
I mean, psychologically, I would do that. I mean, that's one of the options. But I would also give them counseling, because you don't know what triggered that. A lot of people like to take things from surface levels. It's like, oh, that was a reaction or whatever. He's this type of person. But let's go back.
Mm.
Childhood.
All right.
Or you.
So you're saying give Colin Kaepernick
Absolutely.
counseling?
Absolutely. Just get to the bottom of it. It's like, where'd this come from? Like, just hear him out,
Mm.
because he's a dope player, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dope player, but that digs deep. His outspoken words or whatever that that made him do this. There's something deep behind it.
Right.
Maybe he had an experience back in the days.
Right.
Maybe, he was from a slave family or something like that. It's like it came from somewhere, and he felt like it was personal.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go there. I would go with some counseling and then start over, because obviously this is not going to stop,
But-
we've been fighting this for a very, very long time. And this is going to be old news. But to really, really get to the bottom of this is to say that, okay, how many other people are feeling this way? How many people have experienced something that.
But don't
Right.
you think that's kind of the league's responsibility to set something up, to have these, conversations about race, diversity, and because even with basketball, what percentage would you say it's black? 75?
75, 80.
So when something is, happening in the world that has to do with, our culture, those coaches, they come in and they know they're going to walk into a locker room of players that feel a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure they have a conversation with them as to, hey, I know you're going through boom, 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 da 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 da, and be able to converse on that level. And I think for football being such this like American sport, and you know what America looks like, why don't they have those conversations?
That's why I say
That's-
counseling, man.
Right.
Counseling always gets to the bottom of those things as individuals, because there's triggers that's there. Just because they're making a bunch of money and they're living in the suburbs doesn't mean that they're not triggered by their
But
their upbringing.
But yeah, within that, when you say the upbringing, I mean, I don't know. I'm looking at it from a standpoint of anybody in this room is probably 1 or 2 degrees away from somebody who's been attacked by the police.
Yeah.
It is that prominent. I can put both of my hands up and I know at least 10.
Yeah.
I'm one of them. So I can't sit back and just say, oh, the counseling or whatever. I get it. Where did it come from? It comes from what you've been through, what you've seen.
Yeah.
This is not something that just started happening, people. This has been going on for years and years. I'm talking about all the way back to Jim Crow. So, even before that. But I'm just saying it's been like that. It's just now getting, because of our cell phones and because of technology, it's in the forefront.
But I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's really Kaepernick's responsibility. To me, I would still, target it towards the league. It's their responsibility.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, because I mean they're hiring all of these black men, and I don't know what's going on we know what's going on in the training camps and everything like that is all sports, but mentally there's some depression that's in there. Just like,
Right.
It's a tough subject. And we talk about this. I got a friend that's in New York. We talked about this a lot where, she managed a bunch of big artists, including ODB. And she's like, wow, there's so much depression that is in hip hop. It's medicated by all the weed and the alcohol and stuff like that, and the women and stuff like that. But there's something psychological that's going on that can't be medicated by money and status. It's going to pop up.
Right.
It's either going to pop up in lifestyle or it's either going to pop up in situations like this.
Right.
So there should be some sort of NFL counseling program for these black men that are coming from poverty, going into this plush life, and that is feeling some type of way. It's like, dude, have you ever been through certain things? Have you ever been here? That way they can coach them through and not get rid of them,
Right.
throw them away. Because, I mean, I know how, talent is. It's like, oh, well, if you can't mentally handle it, there's talent that's waiting to get in, and those people are shunned to the side. I mean, they do it in the music business all the time. If you can't cooperate or cope with what's going on, then you're not ready, and we'll find a person that
Right.
can be a little bit more programmable. But like Loretta say, I think it's
Yeah.
up to the NFL to really, really recognize these things and
I think it's their duty.
pull them to the surface.
Yeah, it's their
Absolutely.
duty.
Yeah,
They have a huge influence in the youth.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and that's it's going to behoove them if they actually study this and educate themselves about these issues.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And really, really be for the players that, maybe the players are listening to this show, but I mean, just really be upfront, like
Right.
you're winning games, but it's like, how are you mentally healthy?
Exactly.
Instead of trying to keep it hush hush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough subject, but
Very.
yeah. I mean, wow. I'm glad that we got off into this, man, because we were kind of going through subject matters, and it's tough to talk about these things because it's emotional. You know people that's going through it,
Right.
and it's major. It's happening in our sports teams and our music and stuff like that. But just being that volcano that erupts I don't think that's going to ever help.
No.
You'll always see cases like this where good people go down because they were boiling and then something happened and they got triggered. It's like really handle those issues as they come. And that's hard to say when you're trying to be of this business American corporation world. You know,
Yeah.
I think we are faced with that.
For sure. What's up? Thank you for watching Trip Digital Sound Art Expression. Make sure that you like and subscribe this video. We're waiting for